Hi. So if you watched our last couple of videos, we made some backgrounds. This one was using the distress crayons, and this effect was just achieved using baby wipes to wipe away the colour, and then just some simple stamping. Then we also made this one, which was using our lovely Dilutions paints and some of the Dina Wakely media tape. And again, just some stamping on there. So today I want to show you Gelli plate. I'm going to do two videos for this. So the first one I'm just going to sort of talk to you about the Gelli plate. So here's the Gelli plate I've got. They come in lots of different shapes and sizes. So it is, as it says, jelly. It's yeah, it's like a big blob of jelly. So with these, it's best to use acrylic paints or water-based oil paint. If you're going to use inks on these, or things like that, they're going to soak into it. So like dyes, stains, etc. So best to keep the paints on these. To clean it, you can use just hot soapy water or baby wipes, depending on what you've used. So there's an instruction leaflet that comes inside them all. I've got just a selection of acrylics here I'm going to use, and also a brayer, so you can roll out the paint colour. This is really good fun. I've already been playing around with this, so I thought I'd do a little video. And I'm going to make something that's going to go along with these two backgrounds to make a bigger picture, as I said before. So basically how it's going to work is you roll your paint out onto here, and when you're happy you can use tools to make patterns, or you can print through your stencils with the paint. Don't use sharp objects because you're going to damage this. It's like jelly, so you don't want to be stabbing it. So nothing pointed, nothing sharp, and go for it basically. Make sure you dry in each layer before you apply the next, unless you want it to blend. If you want to keep the colour on, then add another colour that's going to add some different, or if you want to keep the colour true, wipe your jelly plate in between layers. Okay, so that's going to be part one, and I'm going to come back and show you what I'm going to make. So see you soon, bye. Hi, okay, so I'm going to start laying some colours down on the background. So these are the colours I've used before, so with that in mind, I've obviously got the same Dilutions paints, and then I've pulled out a load of acrylic paints in the same sort of colours. So I've got nice warm colours, orange, pinks, yellows, and I'm going to accent with a bit of purple, I think, just to give a bit of contrast. So I'm literally just going to play around. I've got a piece of watercolour paper, and I'm going to see what happens. So here's the jelly plate. I'll just move that out of the way for a moment. So it comes with a bit of plastics on for you to store, because you need to keep it clean. Stuff's going to stick to this. So I'm going to start, and think you're doing background. So at this point I'm not going to think too much about pattern. I'm just going to lay some colours down. And you don't need very much on here, it actually goes a long way. So, brayer, where did I put the brayer? Okay, let me pause a moment. Brayer, here we go. So just roll this, and it has points on mine, so you know, I could do with a better one really, but just watch that. So I'm just going to roll this out and see what I mean, how it goes quite a long way. And if you're wanting to stamp and stamp over from this over and over again, then maybe put a bit more paint on. But I'm just thinking about background at the moment, so I'm not worrying too much. I'm going to put a bit more yellow on. And now I'm using quite a big piece of paper here, and you can see the jelly plate I have is 5 by 7. So you can get bigger ones, and there's round ones, and they've bought out some hexagon little minis and all sorts of things. So it's really up to you. I'm just going to go in with this. And you want to just press lightly, just rub that over. And it really does pick up all that lovely colour. So I'm going to go in again, similar colours, orange and yellow. And I'm going to start building textures and patterns a bit more once I get a coverage down. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this, and I'll come back to you once I've got the first layer down, okay? Okay, so I continued that process, and now I've got, so a bit boring at the moment, I say, but it's picked up all those colours and that where the different blobs were lots of patterns. So now I'm going to go in and make it a bit more interesting. So now I'm going to use some stencils through the jelly plate. Now, maybe it's the time of year, but I've got like a lot of lovey-dovey things on mine, which is not normally me actually, but so I'm going to use things like hearts and flowers. So I'm going to go with flowers first. Now I want something a bit more interesting colour-wise, so I'm going to start adding some darker colours. So I'm going to use like pinks, purples here. So again, it's the same idea, just the paint, but put the stencil onto the jelly plate first, and then your paint and your brayer as normal. And you want to go in a bit harder this time so that it picks that colour through the stencil. Make sure you're on a firm surface, or it will move around like I've just done. And ideally a stencil bigger than your jelly plate would be best, but it really, you know, that's the fun of these, it doesn't really matter that much. So you can see that's got this nice flower pattern on there. So I'm going to press the paper into this. I haven't dried this at this point because I want the colours to blend a little bit, as I'm still background. Now, it's not showing up well on camera, but can you see the colours have blended, so it's still showing that background for you, but there's a lovely flower print on top now. So I'm going to go with it. I'm not going to clean the plate because at the moment, I say I'm liking these darker colours. And I haven't put my stencil down. A darker colour this time. So, darker sort of pinky, magenta, purpley pink colour. Roll that out, pushing quite firm so that stencil shape really goes through. And I'm going to continue this and I'll come back again. Okay, so I continued the process, adding some darker colours. I've used the heart stencil. Here's that same flower stencil. And now I'm going to work this all together with some colours, and then I'm going to start building, collaging on it if you like, using these other two backgrounds and whatever I feel like, some die cuts maybe, some stamping, etc., until I've built up a big piece. So I'll come back to you. Okay, so I've done away with the jelly plate now. I'm happy with the patterns that I've created there. Now I want to work this all together. So I personally like to use just my finger when I'm painting, this sort of way. So I want to get rid of these sharp edges that I've created here. So I'm gonna, the paint's still a bit wet at the minute, so I've still got time to work it together. So I'm just going to blend the different parts together, because at the minute this is just a series of prints that don't quite look one piece, if that makes sense. And then when I've done this, I'm going to dry it off, and then we're going to start building on top with some inks, I think we'll go with next. So I'm just going to carry on with this, see what I'm doing, and I'll come back to you once it's dried off. Okay, so I've added some more colour to bring the sections a bit more together. At the minute, yes, you think, oh flippin' heck, this looks a complete mess, and yes it does. But that's okay, because that's the fun of it. And when you start adding the layers in a minute, you'll see how it all pulls together. So just stick with it and you'll see what's going to happen. So I'm going to go away, dry this off, and then I'm going to pull out some things to start layering this and show you what I mean. Okay, so this is dry. I'm going to start bringing it more together and adding some more interest. I've got lots of ink sprays here. I'll just show you a few. Again, the same sort of colour range. And I've also got some distress inks. So again, same colour range. Okay, so I'm going to go in with stencils again and start using my blending tool to work the edges and the areas together, and I'll come back to you and show you what I've done. Okay, so I've been using the distress inks to go back over those paint layers, and I'm just going to add some few bits of ink, and then I'm going to stop and do a third tutorial to pull this sheet, these sheets together, and embellishments. And I'm basically going to make, I guess it's a kind of journal page or a scrapbook page, but I've just used, it's not a standard 12 by 12, it's just a piece of watercolour sheet, you know, it's just for fun, it's for me, so it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to work in some of these ink sprays just to add a bit more depth before I go ahead and start embellishing. So I'm just going to finish this off and then I'll come back to you with part 3. So bye for now, and I'll see you in part 3. Bye.